Hello, ladies and gentlemen. At the present time, and most scientists believe that life outside of Earth, if it exists, then their evolution appeared independently in many different places in the universe. So over the years, people have not stopped trying, look for signs of life on distant planets. It's the James Webb Space Telescope from NASA. The scientists have found the most powerful signs of life ever since it's on the planet K2-18b, one of the exoplanets, the most potential for life, 124 light-years from Earth. When analyzing the planet's atmosphere, scientists have discovered the gas, dimethane sulfide, also known as DMS, and dimethane sulfide gas, or DMDS. What on earth? It's only made by living things. So how does this story really work? Please come and find out together. K2-18b is also known as EPIC 2019 12550-b. It's an exoplanet orbiting a red dwarf star, tail open K2-18. It's about 124 light-years from Earth. The planet is about 2.53 times the size of Earth. It's about 8.9 times heavier. So you can call it a super-Earth. K2-18b was first discovered in 2015 by the Kepler Space Telescope. However, that time, it doesn't get much attention. It seems to be just one of many alien planet outside the solar system. But that all changed in 2017. More accurate data from the telescope, SpaceX shows K2-18b is in the habitable zone of the star. SAO is a place with ideal temperature conditions. Let liquid water exist. The planet immediately became a household pet. Study series. It's our most powerful astronomical observatories. They're all looking at the exoplanet. This special. The planet is about 0.38 astronomical units from its host star, equivalent to 56 million kilometers. That's half the distance of Mercury to the Sun, and because it's orbiting around the host star at such a close distance, so it only takes 33 Earth days to complete a cycle around parent star. A short enough period of time to get the attention of many observers. Focus orbital tracking, something really special coming in 2019. When the Hubble Space Telescope and Spitze, it also detects traces of water vapor in the atmosphere K2-18b. The hatred that's drawn into this system goes up a notch. In 2023, the James Webb Space Observatory started orienting his sophisticated lens towards K2-18b when K2-18 moves in front of the star. A small part of the starlight, it's going through the atmosphere and interact with gases in the atmosphere. Most of the light will pass through, but some wavelengths of light will be absorbed by some specific element. It changes the spectrum of light after moving through the atmosphere. Right now, scientists will compare the light spectrum from stars. There are no transiting planets photographed by James Webb. They'll contrast the absorbed wavelengths with specialized molecules that absorb those wavelengths. This method is called diffusion transmission spectroscopy. For K2-18b, research group using spectrum of infrared light betway wavelengths from 6 to 12 micrometers, where the wavelengths are changed between 6.8 and 8 microns, between 9 to 10 microns and 10 to 11 microns. It can only be explained by two elements, DMS and DMDS. But steam, CO2 and CH4. These are fairly common compounds in planetary atmospheres, even planets that don't have life. Water vapor can come from ocean evaporation. CO2 can arise from volcanic activity. CH4 is a byproduct. In chemical processes, give birth to the mineral serpentine. Meanwhile, DMS and DMDS are very specific biogas. Most of the DMS on Earth come from algae. Hidden deep under the seemingly still water, it's trillions and trillions of plankton, creatures smaller than a speck of dust, floating in the ocean. They can be small, but it plays a vital role in the ecosystem. And it's even affecting the global climate. In the process of living, the plankton secretes a special compound called DMSP. As a way to adapt to the environment, air conditioning pressure, or protect yourself from sunlight. When they die or are ingested by other organisms, DMSP will be decomposed and converted into DMS, a volatile compound. DMS then escapes from the sea rising into the air, where it contributes to cloud formation and affect the climate. But more important, DMS is a mark that only life leaves behind. Concentration of DMS and DMDS in the atmosphere of K2-18b. Much larger than on Earth. On our planet, they're usually less than 1/billionth by volume. And on K2-18b, they're estimated to be over 10 parts per million in volume. It's thousands of times stronger than on Earth. K2-18b is in the habitable zone of the host star. Its surface can be covered by liquid water oceans and a hydrogen-rich atmosphere. In 2021, they've proposed a new type of planet, full of potential. It's called a hydrogen-type planet, and K2-18b is representative of that. Of the most audacious theories, hydrogen is where the oceans are deep. It covers the entire surface, and above that is a hydrogen-rich atmosphere. It's a strange combination, but it can create the perfect conditions for life to rekindle and grow. Professor Nikku Madhusudhan, Cambridge Institute of Astronomy, which led the research, shared very clear and strong signal. Previous theoretical work has predicted high concentration of sulfur dioxide gas as DMS and DMDS could exist in a hydrogen world. Now we've observed that. Consistent with what was predicted, with everything we know about this planet, a hydrogen world with oceans full of life is the scenario that best fits the data that we have. So if those chemical traces are real DMS DMDS, methane carbon dioxide along with signs of water vapor, what does that say about K2-18b? What could exist in that distant world? Let's first consider the environmental conditions. K2-18b received radiation. It's the same as the Earth gets from the Sun. Its temperature ranges from about 279 degrees K to 283 degrees K. That's about -6 degrees Celsius to 10 degrees Celsius. Whether this planet is habitable or not, it depends on the atmosphere. With a hydrogen-rich atmosphere, high pressure and sufficient temperature for liquid water to exist, K2-18b may be in possession of a global ocean. It's a giant water world, under a thick hydrogen cloud. All life, if there is, will have to adapt to the dark conditions, large pressure, and there's very little energy going through the atmosphere. In that context, the most common life form that scientists have speculated are marine microbes, similar to ancient creatures most have ever appeared on Earth. They can survive in hypoxic environments, take advantage of chemical energy from the reaction between water and minerals at the bottom of the ocean. It's like ecosystems in hydrothermal fissures, deep in the depths of our oceans today. But the theory doesn't stop there. Some astronomers think that, if the condition is stable long enough, life on K2-18b, it's entirely possible to evolve into more complex life forms, or even creatures floating in the upper ocean layer. Absorption of dim light through the hydrogen clouds. Like how plants use photosynthesis, these creatures can float like jellyfish, or exist as bio-flying bags, floating with light gases in the atmosphere. Nor does it exclude the possibility, if the evolutionary conditions are favorable and the time is long enough, life on K2-18b may have developed forms of cognitio, an alien marine civilization, intelligent and silent, living hidden under thick clouds, observing the universe from beyond the fog. If the chemical molecules that James Webb notes, it's not random. If DMS and DMDS don't come from physical indifference, but from a form of life that actually exists, it breathes and lives more than 0.120 light years from Earth. That's going to change everything. It's changing the way we look at the universe, changing the way we look at ourselves. Because for centuries, people always believe that we are the center. It is the only conscious creature in the vastness of the universe. But if K2-18b is alive, this means that the universe, it's not as silent as we imagine. On the contrary, it's alive, complicated, and it's filled with unimaginable possibilities. It raises deep questions, more than any expedition. It's hard to build a point. Industrial civilization is like humans, for an important reason. It's a fire that doesn't burn underwater. For the human race, the use of fire is a great thing. If there's no fire, you can't melt metal. Without metal, you can't build machines. You can't drill deep into the ground to mine. Minerals build space nests for space exploration. Briefly, if there is no fire, there will be no civilization like ours. But civilization doesn't have to be like us. K2-18b people can grow algae instead of rice, using bone shells and teeth as tools, building cities from coral, hybrid creatio, designing species according to purpose and will, even master genetic engineering and become immortal, learning like some species has craved for thousands of years. So what's your point of view? Whether life is common in the universe? How many second Earths are hiding? I'm in the dark. And more importantly, are we being watched? In the same way that we're looking at them or not? Scientifically, if confirmed, it's going to be the greatest discovery in history. Humanity goes beyond finding fire, invented the telescope, or set foot on the moon. Because it proves one thing: we are not alone in the universe. Thank you for coming along. The universe begins in today's video. If you find this video interesting and worth considering, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to channels. Don't miss the other interesting videos. See you somewhere between the stars on the next journey. Goodbye, dear.